Hello, I'm ABX2Cat and welcome back to the second channel video. Today I'm here somewhere in the suburbs of Denver, Colorado, and I figured this would be a great contrast to the video I made a couple of months ago about things I really dislike about America. However, the response from a lot of people was like, Cat, if you don't like America so much, why have you gone like 4 times in the past year? And the answer to that is I actually really do quite like America for a bunch of reasons, and I figured if I'm going to make a video about things I don't like, why not at least explain some of the things I really do quite love about America, which is what I'm doing with today's video. Hopefully you all do enjoy it. So yeah, with that said, like I said, it's a very, very sunny day. I like the contrast in the weather and just everything about it. It's a beautiful view, beautiful day, and I figured we could start the very first thing I love about America, which isn't too relevant to anything around here, because I tried to record this video about a couple of days ago, but in St. Louis, outside the City Museum, which is a great example of what I guess the point I'd raise is like the attractions, or like, yeah, again, in big air quotes, attractions here, are just so much like higher quality than anywhere else in the world, as far as I can tell. So if you wonder what I mean by that, basically, even something like a museum, so the City Museum in St. Louis is literally a 10-story, like giant warehouse style thing that was converted into a playground for adults, basically. You know, it's got mazes, it's got like slides that are like, again, 10 stories still. There's a bunch of like crazy stuff in there, and it was just put together because there was a millionaire that was like, you know what, we need to have a playground that adults can use. And I love that sort of stuff, but just any museum in general. There was this, again, in the exact same place, St. Louis, a free museum to go into that had this like giant vault door, and it was fairly small, but it was like, whoa, that is so much crazier than anything else I've ever seen. And basically the point I'm trying to raise is all of the attraction-y style stuff, even like as simple as like a zoo or an aquarium, they're always this like higher level of like entertainment, you know, amusement parks, like the rides are just so much high quality. All that sort of stuff is just done to a whole another level, and I think that's something to do with like the wealth of the country that shines into the tourist aspect of it, which I do quite like. Sorry about the sun, by the way. I think it's like making the lights go up and down. But with that said, first thing I really love, the level of good quality of like attraction stuff. The second thing I really love about America is probably the food. This is like, let's just say it simply, there is a reason Americans are so much larger than like anywhere else in the world, and you might be like, oh, that's offensive to Cat, but it's true. Statistically, the average size of, I looked this up in particular, the average size of an American woman versus, you know, a woman from Europe, for instance, there is literally a 30-something pound difference. I said that out loud actually when I was next to them. They're like, oh yeah, the average weight for Americans is 166 pounds, isn't that crazy? They're like, oh yeah, I'm 180, and it's like, ooh, well, big mistake here. And that is because of the just insane quality in different ways of food. And although some of it is quality in that like the standards of you know, how you make food are like a little bit different, so the amount of sugar in any given drink is like 1.5 times higher, all this sort of stuff adds up. And basically the point I'm trying to raise here is that there's lots of really good food, there's lots of really cheap food, and even, you know, the cheap food is just like this abnormal like level of amazing. So for instance, I went to a place called Steak and Shake somewhere in the Midwest. It is $4 for a really, you know, like you know, one of their like premium-ish burgers and some fries, and it's like, geez, that's actually absurdly cheap in like any, you know, other currency. And yeah, the point I'm trying to raise here, very good and very cheap food, and if you come here, you need to experience one of those things, because there's a reason why Americans are known for being larger, etc. than normal. It's because the food is, that's, yeah, you don't just eat it because, oh yeah, I need to survive. You eat it because it's good, and it's because it's cheap, and because sometimes there's an overlap between those two things. So yeah, with that said, let me talk about the third thing. I don't know why I'm slightly out of breath walking. I think it's because I talk so fast. Yeah, let me talk about the third thing I really love about America, which is probably to do with the insane vastness of it, because I mentioned a couple of times here, there is a tram line here, so I'm going to have to go sideways. I mentioned a couple of times now how I, you know, was in Missouri a couple of days ago, and then kind of flew back over both ways, but I've visited something like 8 states now, and there's such a giant difference between all of them. So I really love Colorado, perhaps the most. Like, it's got the cool mix of like mountains to ski on, and like, yeah, it's got the cool mountains, it's got the amazing like weather, it's got the weird, you know, legalization stuff going on here. There's a really nice mix of stuff going on in Colorado, but then if you compare that to even, it's not even 1,000 miles to the east in Missouri, it is a wildly different place. You know, what is your mental picture of Missouri? What is your mental picture of, you know, Colorado? Pretty different places, and then you go even like a little bit that way, and you got California, again, massively different, and there's Alaska, and there's Florida, all in the same country, and you might be like, why is that a strength for country? But I think it really is that, again, the fact that you can so easily visit all of these places and have it still be this one place with the same, you know, overarching currency, the same overarching people. And I think that's a pretty cool thing about a place, the fact that it can be so vast, all in one place, and you can visit it all if you want to. So yeah, third thing I love, the vastness, the scale of the place that is ostensibly the same country. You know, they all speak English, etc. Which is actually the fourth point I really love here, which is the language. So I feel like this is something that's most, yeah, this is, like I said, the videos, things I love about America, right? You know, how many things it is. And I feel like the English proficiency is like, it's a really cool thing. So even though it is like slightly Americanized English and not the English I'm used to necessarily, I really love that they speak English, again, English everywhere here. In some places it's like bilingual English and Spanish, but it's one of the few countries where it is just like, oh yeah, English 1000% accepted, and you never feel out of place for that. And the second kind of point on that thing is the fact that if you do happen to be from the UK like myself, people absolutely love the accent, and it's, again, very specific. This is more specific, like, oh yeah, if you happen to be from the UK, you'll love this one too. But I love how much people love my accent in a particular way. Like, whenever it comes up, people are just like, ooh, British, and tiny thing, but I really do quite like that. You know, when I like going to a place and feeling special, and they do a pretty good job of that here. Speaking of feeling special in a place, I feel like Americans, you know, there might be a stereotype of what the average American is, and maybe that's true in places like, again, like maybe a New York, or if you go to like an LA, things get kind of weird in the giant cities. Chicago, another big example. But if you go anywhere outside of those, I feel like people, you know, Americans on average, in aggregate, are so much nicer than elsewhere. Like, they try hard being nice. Some of that's to the service industry, which, again, not such a big fan of. But like, even when you go to certain places, so again, St. Louis, fairly small city, like, you know, 300,000 people, so big by American standards, but fairly small elsewhere. Everyone there is just super nice. And even something like the homeless people. So the homeless people here in Colorado have been the crazy nicest, like, again, they're homeless people. They're everywhere. And usually, like, they'll try and, like, at least in certain European countries, they'll, like, go up to you, they'll shake you for money. It's awful. It's a really terrible experience. Here, they'll just be like, hey, man, how's it going? You know, have a conversation with you. But like, you got any dollars? And they'll be like, oh, not from here, man. They're like, oh, really? Wouldn't have guessed that. You want some drugs or something? And it's like, wow, yeah, you are so nice. Like, that sounds like a terrible exchange, but I swear it's actually pretty good. But even the reason I'm in the suburbs is because I was trying to go to a supermarket to look something, and when I said the thing I wanted, I think it was Girl Scout cookies, the one was just like, oh, we don't have those, and she seemed so, like, genuinely upset that she couldn't find the thing I wanted. And that is, like, a cool thing. Americans are, like, really try hard being nice, and it's something that you might get to experience if you go here. And that's one of the cool things about the US, in my opinion. The next thing that I really actually quite love about the place is probably, again, this is like, I feel like one that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, that's like one particular point of view. But I really love the, I guess, the capitalist spirit that everyone in America has. So again, whether you believe in this or whether you don't, I feel like it's something magnificent to watch regardless. But everyone in America, well, the vast majority of Americans, really do believe in the whole fact that, like, you work hard enough, you hustle, you know, all day, every day, and you make this happen, then you'll, you know, make something happen. Everyone just believes that, yeah, we're going to make this amazing thing happen together. And it means that even though, you know, the work weeks are much longer, it's probably awful to work here. I think the fact that everyone believes in this, and again, that's as far as I can tell, the fact that everyone believes in this thing, they're like, yeah, we're gonna, it just feels good, you know. It's a very interesting feeling to observe, and I feel like it makes you feel more productive just by association with this place. I'm going to try and cross the road right now. One of the bad ideas to do in America when there's an intersection, because they're like 5 lanes wide on average. But yeah, with that said, I think that's about everything I wanted to mention when it comes to things I love about America. Everything's so much high quality, including the food, including the people. There's a giant vastness to the thing that means that, you know, the same countries containing Alaska, California, you know, the tech hub of the world, contains all these things. And then you combine this all together and you get a country that's pretty interesting to visit. And although I probably won't be coming back for a while, America's great. I love it. You should love it too. And if you ever come here and you're from the UK, they'll like your accent a lot. That's something I've learned and that I really appreciate from a place. And I'm just saying, if any other country wants to make me feel special just for, you know, how my voice sounds, I'll come to yours too. Anyway, that said, hope you enjoyed the video. It's getting pretty loud now, so goodbye.